Hi guys, it's Narelle Cook from Canine and welcome to another week of Thursday's Thoughts. This is where I share bite-sized pieces of scientific information that I find really interesting, and I hope you do too. So this week, we're looking at diet again. So last month we touched on the impact of diet on health. We're doing that again this month. This paper was published in 2013 in the Veterinary World Journal, and we're looking at the concept of, does the contemporary canine diet cause cancer? A review. So I think this is huge that they even spoke about this 11 years ago. And the research is certainly a lot stronger, supporting what we're going to talk about now. So basically, these authors are really honing in on the fact that regardless of, the quality of the ingredients used in a kibble, by the very way that kibble is manufactured, it creates the Maillard reaction, which the result of which is the generation of advanced glycation end products, among other toxic compounds. So we know now that ages are tightly linked with systemic inflammation, and in the paper they refer to that as metaflammation, and that metaflammation has been linked with many cancers in both humans and dogs. The great thing is that, they're saying now that we know that, it gives us this amazing opportunity to do things differently in terms of prevention, treatment, and the recovery from many chronic diseases, including cancer. Nice little visual highlighting the connection between it, but they're basically saying this metaflammation initiates and impacts all major stages of tumor progression, from neoplastic transformation to widespread metastases. So that's really scary and sad. And now that we know that diet is a huge contributing factor to that metaflammation, again, we need to look at what we can do differently to support the health of our dogs. The other scary thing is that the human research shows that a fetus can be pre-programmed to develop chronic disease based on the diet and the lifestyle of the mother. And, a lot of human babies are breastfed for an extended period of time, but puppies, they might be weaned off mother's milk quite early, from 5 weeks onwards, let's say. And then, the authors are saying, and then they're put onto what they consider to be a toxic diet, which is that age-laden kibble diet that initiates chronic inflammation from the very beginning. And, most puppies are weaned onto kibble and they stay on kibble for their entire lives. And that chronic inflammation just continues to accumulate in the body. I won't go into the details of the Maillard reaction, but they're highlighting that acrylamide is one of the compounds that is produced, and that is a known carcinogen. A lot of people may be thinking, all of my dogs have always been on kibble their whole lives and they're perfectly fine. And the authors, acknowledge that this can go on for quite a period of time, silently in the background. And it's only once sort of that tipping point is reached later in life that, we start to see overt chronic disease, such as arthritis and cancer, for example. The other thing to keep in mind is that kibble's only been around for 100 years. And what we're seeing is that same shift that happened with humans. So when the human diet went from a more, generally home-cooked whole food diet to a highly processed diet, we've seen such an increase in diseases, and we're seeing the same things now with our dogs, with that really radical shift in their diet from a more, home-cooked scraps sort of diet to a highly processed, species inappropriate diet. Topic for another day, but the FDA in the United States have tested various dog foods and found that some of them contain pentobarbital, which is a euthanasia drug. So animals that have been euthanized are ending up in the dog food supply chain, which is just horrible. And they also talk about the fact that arsenic's often found in dog food. Topic for another day. So basically what they're saying, or what they're proposing, is that if we want to reduce cancer in our dogs, we need to change the diet. They're proposing a diet that has a better ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids, because omega-6 fatty acids are very pro-inflammatory in the body, and most commercial kibbles are very high, or disproportionately high, in omega-6 relative to omega-3 because of the ingredients that are used. They're saying that it should incorporate some great fermentable fiber sources, that it would be non-processed, that there'd be no or very low heat used in the manufacturing of the food. They say it should be devoid of grain, that the omega-3 fats should come ideally from cold water marine sources. And you've got to remember that marine fatty acids or omega-3 fatty acids are much more bioavailable and provide that EPA, DHA that have those powerful anti-inflammatory effects in the body as compared to what we can get from plant sources of omega-3 fats. And they're saying, in a perfect world, the protein would come from grass-fed or free-range sources, as it's much better for the health of the dogs. It's much better for our health as well. So just really quickly, diet is huge. Diet is literally the foundation to health for us and our dogs. If you've got any questions or concerns, or you need help with what you're feeding your dog, please get in touch with us at info@canineceuticals.com.au. That's what we're here for. We've got the consultation service that you can read more details about on the website, canineceuticals.com.au. That way we can really dig deep into what you're doing now and how we can transition your dog to something that is more species appropriate and whole food and is just in their interest of their health long term as well. So if you are already feeding a whole food diet but you know someone who's not, please share this video with them so they can have a think about what they might want to do differently with their dog as well. But otherwise, thank you for another week of Thursday's Thoughts. I'll see you next week.